So hello and welcome to the video, and welcome to the Norwegian Epic. I recently completed a 7-night cruise around the Western Mediterranean, and in this video I'll review the places we visited. There was a port every day, and we visited some that were absolutely fantastic, as well as some that weren't perhaps what you might have expected based on how they'd been advertised. I reviewed the cruise in this video, I reviewed the ship in this video, and I reviewed my cabin in this video. So by reviewing the ports in this video, I'll have pretty comprehensively covered all aspects of this trip. I'm not going to talk too much about the tours that are offered by a cruise line. Those excursions are easy to research from the cruise line's website from the comfort of home before you travel. And as you're escorted to and from the ship, they require little knowledge of the port itself. Instead, I'll focus on what the ports offer an independently minded traveller. Although having said that, people taking excursions may still want to watch, as there'll almost certainly still be time for independent exploration before or after any tour you may have booked. So if you'd like to see what I thought of these ports and pick up some hints and tips about how best to plan for a visit if you have an upcoming stop in any of these places, then stick around. Hi, I'm Matt, and I love cruising. I love the ships, the places you visit, the entertainment, and every now and again I'll also enjoy a drink. So subscribe to see where I go next, and perhaps get some inspiration for your next cruise. We sailed to and from Barcelona, but as we'd purchased flights as part of a cruise package, we passed straight through the city on the way to and from the port without stopping. I've been a few times before, and it's a great city. You'll have no problems filling a day or two if your travel plans require it, or if you decide to linger. It is possible to walk into the city from the port, and you'll end up very close to La Rambla when you exit the port complex, although wear comfortable shoes if you attempt it, as it is a fair hike. Taxis will also be available, as it is a busy port. Once aboard, our first stop was Ajaccio in Corsica. Although Corsica is part of France, it's considered to be a distinct territory by the Travellers' Century Club, so was territory number 135 for me. Check out this video for more on this exciting club if you're a loopy traveller like me. It's such an exciting club that I've still not actually got around to joining it. Ajaccio may be the perfect cruise port. You dock very close to the centre of town, and it's a comfortable stroll into the heart of the action. The town is also a decent size, but isn't so large that many people are likely to have been there previously. A very pleasant beach is very close to the dock. It's not huge, but plenty of people were happily taking a dip, including those in the know from the ship who'd brought pool towels with them. It was an extremely pleasant town to stroll around, unquestionably French, so everyone was very well dressed. It's most famous for being the birthplace of Napoleon Bonaparte, and there were a number of attractions building on that connection within easy range of the port. Very nice, and I'd be very happy to go back, although I'll probably be taking a pool towel with me and having a dip in the Med next time I'm there. The next stop was one of those ports which isn't quite what you might expect. Civitavecchia is advertised as Rome in many cruise maps, and is certainly Rome's port, but Rome itself is about 40 miles away. It's very simple to get to the Eternal City if you take an organised excursion, but be prepared for it to take up to 2 hours to cover those 40 miles if the traffic misbehaves. If you want to be independent, you can get a taxi to Rome, which will cost around €150 each way, and you can also get a train. That will only take an hour or so and costs less than €10, although the station is a bit of a hike from where the ship will dock and may be best reached by taxi, as the walk through the port is not picturesque. Rome is obviously amazing, and as is the case with a number of major cities that are within reach of cruise ports, it's deserving of a much longer visit than a day trip from the port allows. If you're visiting somewhere like Rome for the first time, you may actually leave a little frustrated that you've only been able to scratch the surface. But if you've been before, then a day trip certainly gives the opportunity to reconnect with the place. Civitavecchia, though, offers little of interest, so I'm not ashamed to admit that we took the opportunity to stay on the ship and enjoy the facilities while it was quiet. Next stop was Naples, which, dear viewer, was a bit of a revelation. Once again, you dock right in the heart of the town, although it is still some distance to walk to get to the touristy bits. One point I'll note straight away is that ferries to Capri and Sorrento leave from right next to where the cruise ships dock, so it would be quite straightforward to travel outside of Naples without taking an organised tour. I'd recommend getting tickets for ferries online before you get there to avoid disappointment if it's busy. Naples itself is a bit chaotic, a bit run down and a bit hard to navigate, which makes it exactly the sort of place I love. It has some amazing architecture, much of it church-based. It also has a mazy old town with some fantastic planning decisions. Narrow alley with shops on both sides overflowing into the street. Fantastic! Let's also make it a main road. A top-notch destination for moped enthusiasts too. But in all seriousness, if you have a cruise day in Naples, you're almost too blessed with opportunities. Pompeii and Herculaneum are in easy reach, probably best done via an organised tour, although much of the best stuff from the sites is now in the city's archaeological museum, which can be reached on foot independently from your ship. Capri and Sorrento are a short ferry ride away, and Naples itself is a fascinating place to stroll around. Long-time viewers of the channel will know I'm not Italy's biggest fan, but I will go back and take a closer look at Naples and its surrounding attractions. The next stop is another one of those ports that's trying to trick you. Florence and Pisa are both accessible from Livorno, where you actually will dock, although Pisa is about a 40-minute drive away and Florence can be 2 hours away again if traffic misbehaves. As is the case with Rome, Florence is amazing and is deserving of its own trip, although unlike Civitavecchia, Livorno is actually worthy of exploration if you don't want to head too far from the ship. You dock in a major port complex, so there will be a shuttle laid on to Livorno. We didn't visit Livorno, although we heard it was quite pleasant with boat trips available on the town's canals. I've been to Florence before and it is an amazing place to visit, but my mum really wanted to go to Pisa, so we signed up for a tour, and it was really good. When you book a ship tour with most cruise lines, they'll ask you to assemble on the ship, probably in the main theatre. Tour groups will then be called forward one by one, with you being led off the ship to board the waiting bus. Pisa itself isn't renowned as being a great city to visit, but the historic complex on the edge of town, which contains the cathedral and its famous bell tower, is really well done. You park some distance away and can walk across to the attractions or take the train cart thingy. Access to the Leaning Tower itself is throttled, and you're unlikely to be able to get a ticket on the day you visit, so buy in advance if you absolutely have to climb it. Access to the cathedral and the baptistry can be achieved with a combined ticket which costs about €6 and was well worth it. The usual shops and markets are close by, and all in all it was a very successful excursion to a very pleasant place. I'm sure the Italians love the fact that one of their premier attractions is actually an architectural failure. You can also see that one corner of the cathedral is also sinking and has also had to be shored up. Next stop was Cannes, a tender point for us, which means you can take one of the ship's lifeboats to shore. Which might seem like a chore, and it can be if the boat is chock full, but it can be very pleasant if there's room to stretch out. Another bonus when tendering is that you're usually able to land quite close to the centre of the town you're visiting. That's the case in Cannes, where you're deposited in the town's yacht harbour. Still a bit of walking to get out of the harbour, and an even longer walk back because of the ridiculous one-way system the French authorities insisted on enforcing. Cannes, though, is very pleasant to stroll around with plenty of flashy boutiques to not spend money in. The venues used for the film festival seemed to be very popular, and there was actually a boat show in full swing when I visited. And beaches, lots of beaches. Beyond Cannes, tours can take you to Nice and Monte Carlo, both of which are well worth a visit, and both of which can be reached quite easily on public transport. Trains take a little over an hour to reach Monte Carlo and go through Nice en route. Our final stop was in Palma de Majorca. You dock on the edge of the city, and whilst it is a walkable distance, it's at the outer limits of what I'd attempt, especially if it's really hot. Our package included a $50 credit towards an excursion in every port, so when we noticed that the open-top bus tour was priced at $49, we decided to go for it. We did certainly get to see a fair bit of Palma, and it is quite a pleasant way to see a city. Two issues though with this kind of open-top tour. The first is that it can only go on streets that can handle big buses. Palma has a charming old town which you don't go anywhere near and can't really see at all from the bus. so whilst we saw a lot of the town, we didn't see any of the really nice bits. The second is that on busy days it can be a real chore to get back on a bus if you decide to get off halfway round. The queues to reboard on the day we visited were lengthy, and it may take a while to reclaim a seat if you choose to get off and surrender one. But we were happy to stay aboard and do a full circuit, but be aware of these issues when considering that sort of tour. If you decided to explore on foot, the old town is quite lovely. And back to Barcelona. European cruises often deliver a radically different port experience to Caribbean cruises. With the latter, you will usually find the town you're visiting is right next to the cruise terminal, so you rarely need to do any advanced planning as the city you're visiting is right there. On this cruise we only had 3 ports that were right there, Ajaccio, Cannes and Naples, all of which I really enjoyed. We had 2 ports where you could at least see where you wanted to go and could get there if you had your hiking boots on, those being Palma and Barcelona. And we had 2 ports where you didn't dock anywhere near the advertised city, Rome and Florence. Actually visiting either of those major destinations takes quite a bit of planning and no little effort. Unless, of course, you decide to give them the swerve and stay on the very quiet ship, getting value out of your drinks package. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Please give this video a like, leave me a comment. Have you been to any of these ports? Are you excited to visit them based on my coverage in this video? And please consider subscribing if you're new. And if you'd like to support what I'm doing more directly, I have a Patreon account, the link to which is in the description below. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.